Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all the episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, at the podcast page, and that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And thank you all for listening as always. I see you all there. And hopefully you all can hear me okay. I just got a new stand for the microphone, and so it's not in the same position as it was before. But it does show that it's working, so that's the main thing. But yeah, so I have two stories for tonight, and I'll go over those here in just a minute. Okay, good. Sounds great. Thank you, PDG. I appreciate that. And all right, so let me get to the stories here, and then we will get going. I'm really glad this is working. It's setting up the stand. It didn't have any screws or nuts or bolts to tighten, but it did take some figuring out where to put it and how to put it up and everything. So I'm glad it works. So yeah. Anyway, see here. All right, getting to this first story here. This one says, I used to do mountain hiking alone a lot, with camping under the sky. I went to this place very well known to me that I visited many times before. Historically, it has some very ancient ruins, but today it's mainly just a very beautiful trail. I hiked the mountain alone, although I met some people during the hike, made a bonfire for the night, and went to sleep on the ground in the sleeping bag. I kept getting woken up by foxes or raccoon dogs. I don't know if they mean raccoons or dogs. More than one, making sounds very close to me. Curious about the bonfire or the sausages. At around 4 a.m. or shortly before, I just gave up on resting because they sounded like annoying, whining babies. I packed my things and decided to start going down the trail during nighttime. It was autumn, and the sun still wasn't going up, in the next 3 hours. I was totally relaxed and humming, and I knew the place perfectly. After half an hour, I heard two girls chattering quietly and giggling, and saw a little firelight, like from a lantern or a lighter, for a few seconds from quite a distance. But it made me absolutely sure that they were real people. I got super excited about company, and I could hear that they were also going down the trail. So it would make me feel way better to spend the next 2 hours with other girls. I started walking faster and kept hearing some random words of their conversation, but they weren't getting closer. It was like that for around 10 minutes, but then it just stopped and went quiet. I literally started to run down the trail at some point to catch up with them and said, hello, a few times so they didn't think I'm dangerous and they could hear that I'm a girl. But the place went dead silent. I just stopped in place at some point to hear the footsteps or rocks moving, but there was just absolutely nothing. The trail didn't separate in the next few kilometers, and it was impossible to go off road at this hour due to big rocks and steep ground. So there was just no way that these hikers would take a step I missed or a turn. It hit me how naive I am and what did just happen. I got scared, turned off my lights, and took the most quiet and fastest walk of my life. This is the creepiest experience I have, mostly due to the fact that I had no doubt for so long. And that's where the story ends. And so it sounds like they were hearing someone, um, some people there possibly, but then they just vanished. I wonder, there's a few different ways that could go. Because you hear about people that, and sometimes it's just for a minute, sometimes it's for a few minutes. The other times, of course, in the more severe cases, they disappear completely for good. And then there's other stories about people being out in nature and having other people around them looking for them and calling out to them, and the person will call back, and it's almost like no one else can hear them. It's like they kind of shift dimensions or something. So either there was some kind of dimensional shift there going on, either with the voices that the writer heard or the writer themselves, or there was some kind of spiritual activity going on there. Um, Seems like the writer kind of figured everything out as well as they could in terms of no easy way for anyone to just up and vanish like that on a trail like that. Um, so I believe them as far as that goes. So it seems like those are a couple of the options there. Some kind of either time anomaly where they were just hearing these people and or seeing the light, the flashlight or the lantern or the lighter, and then it was just gone and quiet, and or it was some kind of spirit again, and again it was just gone and quiet. It just does seem like there was something paranormal going on there. It just there's a lot of options as to what that could be. So neat story there. Definitely that always amazes me that people go out and do these hikes and camping trips and everything on their own. Like that's something I would never want to do myself. Even if I had all the gear and technology and whatever, I still don't think I'd want to do that. But everyone's different. So that's nothing, no judgment on anybody there. And really, in fact, I that's amazing to me that anyone does that. So um obviously everyone always be careful when you're out there, wherever you're going. Just a quick message about that. But yeah, just amazing that people do that. And I don't doubt that there's a lot more similar stories like that out there. I've heard some over the years on different shows. So this doesn't surprise me in that way, but it's also, I think, a lot of times we think of paranormal activity happening in and around buildings, but that's definitely not always the case. So, um, that's kind of something that popped up in both of the stories that I found for the show tonight. Uh, this one that I just read and the one that I'm going to read, they both take place out on out along a journey, along a path or a road. So, um, so yeah, really neat how these themes pop up sometimes. Especially, I think it's a little bit easier when there's only two stories, but still. Um, so let's see here. I think with that, I can go on to the next story here. Um, so this is the other story for the night. And let's see here. Let me scroll down and get to it. Okay. This one is a little bit shorter. Actually, no, it's not. Never mind. It's around the same length, I think. Okay, this one says, so this story is from 2 or 3 years ago. One night on my way home from work, and to get home, I take some back roads as shortcuts. But on this particular night, it was snowing and the roads were a little icy. So I was driving slower than I normally do. On this route, I normally take day in, day out. There is a long stretch of road that has hills and can be rough sometimes, and has no house or hunting camps on it or any other turnoffs. It's about 3 or 4 miles until the next intersection. I was about a quarter of a mile down this road when I saw in my rear view mirror another car or truck coming up behind me as I was going up the first hill on this stretch of road. I was about halfway up this hill when this vehicle passed me. As I crested the hill, I was expecting to see them going down the hill or on the short straightaway to the next hill, but I did not see any taillights. So I slowed down, thinking they went off the road and crashed. As I was coming down the hill, I was looking for the car or truck that passed me, but I couldn't see much of anything. So I stopped at the bottom of the hill and put my four-way lights on. I got out of my truck with my flashlight and started to walk up the hill, scanning to the side of the road to see if I didn't find anything. I ended up reaching the top of the hill without finding any trace of the vehicle that passed me. So I thought to myself, maybe they went off the road on the other side of the road. But I still found nothing. No tracks, no skid marks, no evidence of a vehicle going off the road, or even driving on it, except for mine. Knowing this road, on this road, there has been a lot of accidents. So, based on the story, I strongly believe that I saw a ghost car that is stuck in a loop on the night it crashed, and that's in the story. Regarding what they say, it's hard to know for sure what the cause is, or if it's a loop or whatever. But it does seem like they saw something that just then vanished. And again, different possibilities for the cause of that time anomaly, where they just that just two different points in time intersected just for a little bit. Residual haunting, possibly energy that was imprinted into the area where it appears as a light or a pair of lights that just goes up the hill, but then it vanishes once it gets to a certain point, probably on the other side of the hill. Or maybe some kind of, I don't know. It's not exactly a spirit, but just odd that similar kind of experience where someone's traveling and they see or hear something, and then they expect to encounter whatever it is, and but then it's gone, just gone. So I thought that was that seems like that happens on roads and on paths. That's I've heard similar stories, like I said before. Even shared a few on the show here and there, and that is an amazing thing to me that can happen, because especially in the case of a vehicle, that's no small object. But yeah, it seems like it happens. I mean, that happens with buildings too. They can appear and disappear. Um, in some cases. So it's just part of, I think, the mechanics of reality that we don't have nailed down yet, that is currently thought of as paranormal or supernatural. So those are the stories I had for tonight, and that'll do it. So thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow covering paranormal news on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.